Hey everyone, and welcome to today's Explainer. Okay, we've got a really great one for you today. We're unpacking a classic, incredibly dramatic jungle fable. And honestly, this story has it all: survival, karma, betrayal, and the ultimate test of preparation. I want you to picture an unforgiving rainy season in a really dense jungle. The heavy, muddy scent of rain is hanging in the air. The cold winds are just howling. And for the birds living up in the canopy, well, finding proper shelter isn't just about staying comfortable. It is quite literally a matter of life and death.
So it begs the question, how do you survive a deadly storm without a home? I mean, it's the ultimate nightmare scenario, right? In our story, the heavy rains have officially started. And for the local birds, every single drop of water is like a ticking clock. Because if they don't have a secure, waterproof nest, those fierce winds and torrential downpours are going to sweep them away. No exaggeration. So today, we're going to look at how two very different families answer this exact, terrifying question.
All right, let's kick things off with part 1, the ultimatum, and the good news.
To really understand the absolute chaos that's about to unfold, we first need to look at where our two main bird couples are starting out, because they could not be more different. First up, take Bura and Rima. Rima is literally packing her bags. For months, all through the bitter winter and the scorching summer, her husband Bura has been promising to build them a sturdy, permanent house. But, he's your classic procrastinator. Now the deadly monsoon is here, and they are still completely exposed to the elements. Rima has had enough. She drops a massive ultimatum. Bura has exactly 4 days to build a real house, or she is leaving him and moving back to her mother's house forever. So the clock is officially ticking for him.
Meanwhile, completely on the other side of the jungle, our second couple is dealing with a totally different kind of pressure. Lotto has been getting these intense, dizzy spells and breaking out in a sweat. Her husband, Balu, totally panics and rushes to get Dr. Owl. And the diagnosis? Well, Dr. Owl happily announces it's actually fantastic news. Lotto is pregnant. Their family is about to grow. But, as you can imagine, with the baby news comes a really sudden, terrifying realization for Balu. Their current, flimsy little nest is just not going to be enough for a growing family, especially with the brutal storm season right on their doorstep.
Which brings us to part 2, a tale of two approaches.
So both of these husbands are under immense pressure right now, with the heavy rains closing in. But how they handle it? Night and day. Recognizing the incredibly high stakes, Balu gets totally proactive. He immediately gets to work on a nearby tree, handcrafting a much larger, incredibly sturdy house out of strong leaves, and he places it high up on a thick branch so it can actually withstand those violent monsoon winds. Meanwhile, Bura's 4 days are rapidly slipping by. He's panicking, he is desperately running out of time, and instead of, actually putting in the hard labor, he resorts to deceit. When he spots Balu's newly finished, magnificent leaf house, a pretty dark idea starts forming in his mind.
Okay, moving on to part 3, the night of the storm.
The 4-day deadline is up. It's nighttime, and the jungle is suddenly hammered with fierce, freezing winds and just a torrential downpour. It is so violent that it threatens everything in its path. And things escalate incredibly fast here. Right at midnight, the terrifying winds cause Lotto and Balu's fragile old nest to crash completely to the ground. By 1 a.m., the couple, carrying whatever tiny belongings they can manage, are desperately flying through the blinding rain toward that new, sturdy leaf nest Balu just built. But at 1:30 a.m., they arrive, only to find the door locked from the inside. And who's in there? Bora and his wife Rima. By 2 a.m., desperate and freezing, Lotto and Balu are begging their neighbor Kalu for shelter, but they get flatly rejected. Finally, at 3 a.m., they are miraculously rescued by the kind Minu Masi.
Okay, we really need to focus on what exactly happened at 1:30 a.m., because this is the ultimate betrayal. When Balu knocked on the door of his own newly built house, Bora and Rima stepped out. And Rima actually believes her husband built this beautiful home. Bora completely stole the nest that Balu poured all his blood, sweat, and tears into, and he shamelessly lied to his own wife, claiming it was this romantic surprise to keep him from leaving him. And to top it all off, Bora actually threatens Balu and Lotto to leave, slamming the door right in their faces while they're stranded in a freezing tempest. Just brutal.
And the heartbreak really doesn't end there for them.
they fly over to their neighbor Kalu's house. Now, Kalu and his wife Gori had just been inside discussing dinner plans, but when Baloo explains that Bura literally stole their home and begs for just a tiny corner to stay dry, Kalu comes up with the most convenient excuse ever. He claims his mother-in-law and brother-in-law, Kalia, are visiting, so there's absolutely zero room for them. He leaves a pregnant Lotto and a desperate Baloo completely out in the deadly storm. But thankfully, we do get a moment of relief. Minu Mosi to the rescue. Earlier that day, Mina was just enjoying the rainy weather from her window, sipping hot tea and eating fresh pakodas that her friend Tony the bird brought over. She is just a genuinely good soul, so when she sees the shivering couple outside in the middle of the night, she immediately brings them in. And after hearing how Bura stole their home, she is furious. She curses his cruelty, assuring the young couple that the Almighty will absolutely not forgive such a wicked act.
And that leads us perfectly into Part 4, Karma Strikes. So, morning finally breaks. The heavy rains have paused, but the harsh daylight reveals the shocking consequences of everything that happened the night before. Minu, Lotto, and Baloo head out to check on the new nest, only to find the stolen nest completely destroyed. Bulbul the bird flies in with the dramatic news. Turns out, the storm was so intense in the middle of the night that it absolutely smashed that stolen nest to pieces. Why? Because Bura didn't build it. He had absolutely no idea how to secure it or maintain it from the inside during a tempest. The whole thing collapsed, leaving both Bura and Rima severely injured. In fact, their selfish neighbor Kalu actually had to drag them to Dr. Owl's clinic for emergency treatment. When Baloo and Lotto get to the clinic, they find a completely battered and broken Bura. The truth is fully out now. Rima finally knows that Bura lied to her about the surprise nest, and she is absolutely furious. She finalizes her decision to leave him for good the second she recovers. So Bura has essentially lost his health, his stolen home, and his wife. He realizes, the hard way, that taking a shortcut and harming others only brought total destruction down on his own head.
Let's see how this all wraps up in Part 5, Forgiveness and New Beginnings.
Now, how do you respond to someone who literally left you and your pregnant wife out to die in a deadly storm? It's a tough question. But Baloo and Lotto show just incredible grace under pressure. They take the absolute high road. Despite the agonizing, terrifying night they just endured, Baloo and Lotto choose to forgive Bora for his malicious theft. And, no way, not only that, they also forgive their neighbor Kalu for his incredibly selfish refusal to help them when they were in dire need.
And you know, those positive actions really ripple outward, ultimately leading to our happy ending. Safe and warm in Minu Masi's home, Lotto safely lays 2 beautiful eggs. Meanwhile, Bura slowly recovers from his injuries and he genuinely learns the value of honest labor. Once he is finally healed up, Baloo doesn't hold a grudge against him. Instead, he actually works right alongside Bura, and together they build brand new, permanent, totally storm-proof leaf houses for both of their families. Hard work and collaboration eventually lead to safe homes for the whole community.
So what is the true moral of the fable?
Now that the storm is completely settled, what are the real takeaways we should pull from all this jungle drama? First, karma catches up to deceit. Bura's lies led to his literal and figurative downfall. I mean, he was crushed by the very house he stole. Second, hard work guarantees survival. Baloo's proactive labor was quite literally the only reason a sturdy house existed to begin with. Third, taking shortcuts always leads to ruin. And finally, forgiveness is a true virtue. Baloo's refusal to hold on to his anger is what ultimately brought everyone back together to build permanent solutions. And guys, this really matters because it's a mirror to our own lives, you know? It asks us how we prepare for our own metaphorical storms and how we treat other people when we're the ones who are desperate. So I want to leave you with this final provocative thought. If you were Lado and Baloo stranded in the freezing rain with a baby on the way, would you have forgiven Bura? Honestly, it is so easy to say yes sitting here right now, but in the heat of the moment, grace is incredibly difficult. Think about your own capacity for forgiveness the next time someone wrongs you. Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer. Keep learning, stay prepared, and I will catch you on the next one.